Hi. Hello and welcome to another episode from China Teacher Brand, where I share with you what it is like to live in China. I want to welcome you all to our live broadcast with John Graham, the fitness enthusiast and professional that is stuck in China due to a legal case against him. Today, I want to start this broadcast by pointing out a couple of things that are the first thing that I want to say is that I have invited John to do this podcast for a simple reason. We were doing the podcast with him, and unfortunately, our podcast is relatively young. We've only done the podcast for 3 weeks, so our viewership is not all that great. So I wanted to offer him my microphone, my platform to talk about his case. So there's a big difference between 130 subscribers and 3,000 subscribers. So hopefully we will be able to get more eyes and more views on this case. Um, the second thing that I want to talk about is when I first learned about the case with John. Um, I was confusing him with his brother, so I may have made some comments on Serpensa's videos about the situation that were incorrect. So that's the first thing that I want to say. An apology to both Serpensa and to John for that. The other thing that I have noticed since I learned about this case when we went to Shenzhen to film with John is that being uh, being accused of something in China is very different from accusing somebody of something. In my case, in my legal case, I have actually sued people because I thought I was in the right. So John is in a very different situation, and that's one of the things that I want to explore. What is it like to be in his situation as opposed to ours, or my situation, where I was going after somebody? Um, and one last thing before we bring John live into the live stream is um, John is going to tell us his version of his story. I'm just lending him this platform so he can share his story with us. So, with these three things out of the way, let's welcome John. Let me bring the camera on. John, how are you?
Hey man, how's it going?
Okay, you're on camera right now.
Is it
Okay.
working? Is this working?
Yeah, okay. So far we have three eyes on and we have one thumbs up and one thumbs down. I want to talk to you about that for a second, if you don't mind. When we made the
Uh-huh.
video about the
How
podcast,
does this work?
when we made the video about the podcast, we have a very small podcast, right? So we get like
Hmm.
30 views, 50 views, 4 likes, 3 likes. When we showed your video, it had like 11 likes and 12 dislikes, or the other way around, like something out of proportion. So,
Hmm.
how do you think this video is going to go? hopefully
I
we
don't
get
know. I don't,
hopefully we get more likes. We're even right now, so that's an A, two up,
I don't know.
two
There's
thumbs
always
up.
yeah, I mean there's always a bit of controversy in stuff and I don't think that that's a bad thing.
Hmm.
It's all right for people to dislike
Hi, John.
like stuff as much as to like it, right?
Hmm.
I've learned that the hard way here in China.
All
But
right.
it's okay, you know.
Okay.
The world keeps spinning and you just keep going.
You broken up a little bit there with the connection. So, John, I said that I wanted to make an announcement in this video chat. Right, I am going
Hmm.
to enable something that is called super chat. Super chat is where people can make contributions to the channel, so they can send money, and basically in normal cases that money goes to me, to the owner of the channel. So what I mentioned to you yesterday is that whatever super chat money that we get today, we were going to share this 50-50. So it's going to help you with your particular situation, which we're going to go into detail. Is quite complex and quite difficult, but I want to make a modification
Hmm.
to that. Okay. um, having thought about it, I want to let everybody know. I want to let you know that whatever super chat that gets in today, I'm going to give you 100% of whatever we receive. Okay? I think that that's fair.
Oh,
Uh,
you don't have to.
no, 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 no,
No,
no. It's your
no,
story.
no.
It's your
That's
situation. And look, I do this for a living. This is a one-off for you here in my channel. Hopefully, I can have you back some other time. But let's do that for now. Okay?
mm,
Hopefully, it works. I've never asked for super chats in my videos, but hopefully that's going to work. Also,
mhm.
as you notice in this screen, yeah, at the bottom there is a QR code right next to the bottom right. So if you're in China and you can't use super chat, then you can scan that QR code, and whatever contribution comes to that WeChat QR code, it's also going to be money that I'll be transferring to you to help with, well, your particular situation. So um, let me very briefly, John, summarize the case, and if there's anything that I'm saying incorrectly, then you let me know, okay? Um, you
Sure, sure.
you owned a gym few years back
Mm,
with three partners. They were all foreigners, and you were the foreign. You were the legal representative of this company. Um, the
Yep.
gym was not doing too well, so you guys decided, okay, let's transfer um, ownership or management of this company to somebody else. You found somebody,
Hmm.
and you did the transfer, and that's all done. Now, what happened down the road is that this person who became the new legal representative, at any point you can jump in, okay, and correct me.
Hmm.
um, After some time, this new legal representative decided to sue you, and the grounds for that legal case was that you didn't have like the rightful ownership of the gear, the equipment in this gym. Um,
The
and
assets, yes, the
mhm,
assets, the TV, the treadmills, the chairs, the tables,
correct.
even the light fixtures, everything. Yeah.
So he took you to court for this case, for this particular reason, and this is where the situation becomes a little bit China specific. Everything else it could be normal anywhere else. Now the court um, tried to contact you to let you know that you are being sued, that there's a court case against you, and they tried to call you, um, apparently more than one time,
Hmm.
and they sent you a letter, a physical letter by mail, regular mail. Now,
That's right.
the phone calls did not reach you. You missed the phone calls, as you've
Yes.
said during the podcast, and the mail was actually sent to an address that you never lived in or you never worked at. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so the courts couldn't find you. The courts couldn't contact you. So they went ahead and ruled against you in your absence. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
now, up to this point, you are unaware of this situation. Um, a couple of years, I think, or months go by, and you're trying to go to the Philippines, and at the airport, you find that you are blacklisted and that you can't leave the country because of this legal case against you. Is that right?
Yes.
Cool. And then, well,
That's right. Yeah. Well,
I told you it would take
that's
about a
very
minute.
good.
All right, so
It's pretty good.
this already puts you in a couple of questions, but let's continue with bringing us up to speed up to now. Okay, so afterwards, what
Hmm.
you do is you try to um, reopen the case. Is that correct? You want to have a retrial? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay,
That's
and
right. Yes.
to do this, you need to engage the services of a lawyer. That's when you talk
Yep.
to Winston Serpenza and I don't know if ADV China, but at least with Winston, and you guys do some marketing and crowdfunding. You secure the funds for the lawyer, and the lawyer, with those funds,
Hmm.
you say to the lawyer, "Hey, the funds are there. Let's represent me in this case. Try to reopen the case." And
That's right.
in the meantime, because the court already passed a verdict against you, they go into the
Hmm.
enforcement phase, and that's when you were basically dragged out. I don't know if physically dragged out, but you were brought down from a rink where you were organizing a stage, and you were told, well, you now to need to pay the money that this verdict states. Um,
That
on the spot
that's right.
on the spot that night, you made some payments, and you agreed to make some payments into the future, month after month. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about um, in this podcast. What is your situation right now? What are you dealing with since that moment? Um, and what happened on Monday is what we want to talk about. So, as you can see, there's one case that is kind of like finished, and there's one case that was open. The case that was open is the one you asking the courts to reopen trial. So, with that, that's the end of my part. Let's go to you. What happened on Monday?
Yeah, it's amazing. Such a great summary. I've never had media like actually say it almost word for word exactly as I said it. They always get something a little bit wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and that little thing that's wrong is usually quite key, and it's a bit frustrating. But yeah, I'll get into that. But here's something recent. Get this. So I have a document from the court that is supposed to be delivered to me. This was about a week ago, maybe
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more than a week ago. So the guy, so I know this document's on the way to come see to get me, right? I know I'm aware of it because I'm in the case, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the case. My lawyers told me, right? So I get a phone call from an EMS guy, and he's like, "Hey, I'm here. Are you going to come down and get this package?" And I was like, "Where are you? Like, tell me the address." And he tells me an address that I lived, and I think it's about three or 4 years ago. I lived at this address, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't live there anymore. Can you deliver it where I am now?" And he was like, "No, I can't do that. You have to come pick it up at the
The
like the
listed
China
address.
Post."
Ah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, oh, no, no, no. He couldn't leave it there because I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to take it back to the China Post like head office, and I have to go and pick it up. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, number one, if the court is sending me a document, where are they getting the addresses for the people they're sending their documents from? Like, how does it work? Where they do they have like some Excel sheet or something where they type in the name of the foreigner and then an address pops up? And why is it that address? Why isn't it the address that I'm registered at right now in China? I've
Mm-hmm.
registered there for 2 years. So I was like, I don't know, maybe the immigration and the court need to probably start talking because these parcels are just flying everywhere. Now I got to go track it down. It's like up near the airport. I have to go find this parcel and get it. And if they do, and if I don't get it, then it's sent back to the court.
Now
So I'm like,
that's
okay, I'll get it. I'll come get it. But
that's the second time that they
yeah.
have messed with the delivery of a very important document.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of calling them out here in front of everybody. Like, that is something they may want to fix because that's just happened recently. And I'm like, guys, like, why don't you just go? I mean, my office address would be online,
Mm-hmm.
or like maybe I don't know. There has to be a better system because I know I need to receive it and sign it, and I know I've been waiting for it, but it's a bit, I don't know. They need to figure that out. Come on, guys, you need to figure that out.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's the issue. So,
yeah,
back to the news that you received on Monday, based on your case to try to reopen your previous case.
yeah. So my goal was to reopen the case in a more superior court.
Okay.
So the superior court, it's called the middle court in Shenzhen, and this court is, I believe, the second most powerful court in South China or Guangdong province.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever that means. It superseded the court that I was sued in. So if I reopened the case in that court, then I can go to the old court and get the verdict terminated. That was the goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it required like a lot of of hustling and getting evidence for this and tracking and, calling this old guy and saying, hey, did you still have that WeChat message? And can you screenshot it, send it to me? And hey, I remember you sent me some document. Do you still happen to have like a copy of it? Or just asking and going everywhere. Myself, I went to the location of the old gym,
Mm-hmm.
and I videoed everything, like what the state, because it was all closed and shut down. And I asked the local shops around that gym. I was like, "What's happened? Where's the gym? Where did it go? Do you know any?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, the landlord is actually suing the guy as well, or they're in a legal battle." So I found like all these other stories in and around it, right? That I used, and actually I did some research and I found some important evidence of another case that the guy that is suing me is involved in, and that evidence supported my case.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot of tracking how to do this, because I told the lawyers, like, you should check this out. You should go research this. And then they have the authority to say, oh, can we subpoena these few documents and stuff like this. So the evidence that I collected, not the evidence I already had, but the evidence I just simply collected to validate reopening the case, was extremely substantial. There was even a time, and this is these sorts of things I never really talked about. My lawyer was like, just better not talk about it on media, because it's not going to help reopening the case. But even my there was like a receipt, a payment, just a payment receipt. My stamp was like the copy that I have doesn't have my personal stamp, but the copy that he submitted to the case has my personal stamp. So I was like,
How is this possible?
that is obvious. He is forging my stamp. Like, you can see I have a hard copy. I have the real receipt. I have the real one, right?
Yeah.
And then I can see that there's a copy, because I can access all the documents that he submitted in against me. So I can look through it and see what's up. And there's a receipt there with my personal stamp forged on it. And I'm like, that's a cheeky little bastard right there. Okay, so you know how when you own a company, if I'm the foreign, I have 3 stamps. One's the financial stamp. One's like, each stamp has different meanings, right?
Yeah.
And you use them at different times. So there's another stamp, and it has my name, John Graham Harper. That's my name. And it basically, when I put this stamp to whatever paper, it's kind of like I'm assuming the responsibility of this document rather than my company. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the foreign is representing the company. So if you use the stamps and you stamp all these documents, you're just representing the company, right? But at the end of the day, the company is more liable. But when he sued me, he didn't sue the company, he sued me, me personally. So the stamp with John Graham, this supported him suing me. The stamp had personal stamp. Does that make sense? Do you get that part?
Yeah, the use of your personal stamp makes it all about you, not the company, basically. I mean, the use of your personal stamp is what enables him to sue you.
Yeah. Me personally, and blacklist my name, not the company. The company and me is sometimes they go hand in hand. Sometimes they're separate, right? Mm-hmm. And this is another thing that's important to clear up. A lot of people when they were during this whole, I mean, this is a 2-year journey, right? That I've gone through. This is a long time. I've talked to so many people about this because I like to make noise. I think it's important when you get, like there's a famous politician, I can't remember his name. He says, like, if there is catastrophe and you don't use it, you've wasted the catastrophe. Something like this. Like some president said, like, use catastrophe, and get value from it. So, I've talked a lot about it. And then this idea media kind of came out that I had signed a dodgy contract, right? That was kind of the, oh, John signed a bad contract. It wasn't really that I signed a bad contract. I signed a lot of different contracts, and all together, all of the documents are okay. They support me, support the decision we made to just transition the business out. But if you take this contract and this one and you don't submit the others, then yes, that isn't good. So that's all he did. When he put his statement into court, he put documents in and manipulated the documents in his favor. But then with me at home, I've got all the documents. I've got the full story, right? You know, if you put in half the story, you know, and then obviously that's what the case is centered around. It's not centered on the full story. So that's something I want to clear up, is like, it wasn't a bad document. It's the usage of the documents and the statement. This is what created the mess.
Sure. I remember watching that video from Serpensa, and there was a lot of content about the contract. And be careful when you sign contracts in China. So I remember that being part of the talk. But okay, my next question is about, you have all this evidence, and you're bringing it to this superior court, and my next question is about admissibility. Did they accept all this new evidence? Did they reject it? Because you're bringing in the goods, right? Like, hey, this is how things actually happened.
Yeah.
What was the situation there?
Like, I wasn't just crying outside the door of the court saying, please do me a favor. I was coming in with the full story and with new evidence, stuff that was like I discovered, you know, since the case has been filed, right? So I really came with more than enough. Like, I really, at least the lawyers as well, they were very sure that we were good. The court, I mean, I think this might be true anywhere in the world. Everything takes time. There's always a process, right? Yeah. You know, this document has to go to this floor and get signed by this guy. Then it has to go back down to floor, you know, to the bottom floor and get signed up by, and then go back up to the, you know, things are always moving around. There's so much going on. And, you know, in China, we're blessed and also cursed with a lot of holidays. And when there's a holiday in China, they like drop everything and they just go. They're like, see ya. No, I'm done. Yeah, like we're at the May holiday now, right? And it's just, I mean, I'm in my office now, and it's like, I don't know if there ever was anybody that ever worked here. It's just quiet. Like, no, there's not some guy up here trying to, you know, finish off some work, or no. They just 6 o'clock, done. I'm out, right?
It's good for an interview, though.
These holidays. Yeah, but yeah, if you to travel within China, and if for you a lot of your stuff now is online, it gives you the opportunity to work on your side stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I want to go visit this holiday. I was keen to go visit some beaches that I haven't gotten seen yet. Some quiet secret beaches, but yeah, traffic is terrible. But anyway, all right. So going back, where was I? What was I saying? So these holidays.
Sure, go.
Yeah.
The holidays.
So the holidays, they really delayed the process. They really delayed the process. Now, and something also is that this is China. Numbers are always either in or out of your favor. So anything that so let's say, for example, with the middle court, just by the sheer volume of people in Shenzhen City, you can imagine there would be hundreds of cases all trying to get reopened. So the judge team, I think there's maybe 13 judges in that in that court. Maybe each have like an assisting group of about 5. Each of them divide out these cases and they go through it, whether or not this is worth opening, right? So they've got stacks and stacks of cases they need to say open, reopen, no, don't, yes, in, out, whatever, right? So we got the delays of the holidays. Then we also my file is not at the top of the list. Mine's at the bottom, and it's slowly moving its way up. Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And the way I'm trying to accelerate it is I'm asking my lawyers to call one of the assistants, because each judge has like a team of assistants, right?
Yeah.
I'm asking them, call the assistant and say, any updates? Is there anything? Can we? How's that coming along? All of this, right? To encourage them to look at this file, because once they look at it, then they have to. There's a whole deliberation process,
Yeah.
and they have to get all, and not just one judge can say yes. All the judges need to all say. They need to say, okay, who's in favor, who's not, right? And
Yeah.
as a team of judges, they decide, right? So yeah, I mean, just delays. Obviously, some of which are understandable. Others are like, the coronavirus comes along.
Mm.
So that meant what happened with the coronavirus is the court didn't open. So the judges started working from home, right? So then this slowed things down more. And,
Yeah.
so finally, they were like, okay, we've made a decision. And I was like, just say the decision. And they're like, no, we need to mail it to you. And that's what I think is waiting for me in the post office near the airport, is actually just the final decision. But two files are sent. One is sent to me, and they messed that part up. But the other one is sent to the law firm.
Yeah.
And so the law firm, they told me on Monday, they said that they maybe, what I can even do? I can just read you exactly what they
Yeah,
said.
that'd be great.
Hi, John. We have received the decision on your application for retrial this morning, and we are sorry to inform you that the application has been denied. The court rejected the retrial application primarily on the ground that it was not brought within the period stipulated by the relevant statute, which would be within 6 months of the effective date of judgment, which was November 16, 2017. So please find the judgment for your review. Let us know if you have any questions. So I questioned, I said, is that it? Like, is that it? The journey's over? And he said, yes, that will be the end of the case. Essentially, the court values procedural justice more than substantive evidence. So so basically there was a period of time that you can do this action.
Yeah.
And that period of time, I passed it. I passed that because I wasn't
You were not aware
about the case. Yeah.
Okay. Question: are you aware of any other legal system in the world where a verdict is passed when you're absent?
So the lesson is, I don't make a mistake in the future, but anybody listening can get this. Sorry, say again. That you cut there. There was a little cut.
Yeah. No, I was asking whether, do you know of any other legal systems in the world where people can be passed a verdict on, even if they're absent? Because that was your case, and because the verdict was passed, you didn't know, and because of that, you couldn't file this reopening case in time. Is there any other example of a place that does something like this that you know of?
Yeah, like I think I asked that question. I asked that question to a lawyer. I remember I asked him a lawyer, and I believe his initial words were like, yes, in America, it happens exactly like this, because the process still must go on. But see, in the US, I believe there's a system where they come and find you and they subpoena you.
They serve you.
Right? And they say, you've been served, right? They do. I think this is also part of it. And I believe like how that would come in probably would be of a certain amount. Like if you're suing someone for a certain amount, I think you have to secure the services of that runner, who has the subpoena. Yeah. I think under a certain amount, maybe that you don't have to, but I believe at a certain amount, it's important enough that you actually find the person and give them the document. Yeah.
Okay, let me read some of
So
the comments. 1 second. So I'm gonna put them here on the screen. The first comment that we got is from Misuchi Miss, and she says, "Do they not have a form for forwarding addresses?" So I guess that's a no, because you have to go to the airport to pick up this letter. The next one is from
yeah, I gotta go to the airport.
Tao Da Ge. Tao Da Ge is a subscriber. He says, "It seems to me it is in the interest of the guy suing you that you don't receive notices. It leads to summary judgment against you." So interesting perspective that it's in
Oh,
his
I
in.
didn't say it, but that's yeah,
That's
that makes
that's
sense.
that's what he says.
Yeah.
And Mitsuchi Miss says what you were trying to say about the politician. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yes, yes. Never let good crisis go to waste. Thank you. That's the one. That's cool,
Okay.
huh? That's a good line, huh?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Taura Ge gives us his next comment, and he says, "My takeaway from all this is that it is advisable for foreigner when entering into any legal agreement in China to have legal representation from the beginning all the way through." And that's interesting because we talked about that during the podcast with, of course, China. That, well, I asked you that question. Why wouldn't they contact your lawyer also? As they did this time around, right? They contact your law firm and they try to contact you. But at that time, when the guy actually sued you, you had no reason to have a lawyer because everything
No,
was in.
no, no lawyer.
So Tada Good, that's
Yeah.
that's that's your answer. I mean, and that's what we that I discovered when we were doing the podcast with you a couple of weeks ago. That you had no reason to have a lawyer, so they had nobody to contact. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about. We did mention at the beginning of the podcast, but I want to say it again, guys. This video has super chats added, so if you guys want to contribute to John's situation, we're gonna start talking about money, and you're gonna understand why I think this is important. So, if you guys want to contribute to John's case, John's not case because the case is closed, but to John's situation, you
Mm.
can send your super chats, and 100% of whatever you guys contribute will go to John. Also, at the bottom right, you have a QR code. If you're in China, you can scan that and use that
Mhm.
to send funds, and I will transfer that to John. Just to let you guys know that that's a possibility for you. I've never done this before, but I think that this particular situation grants the use of super chats. Okay, so let's
Mhm.
let's start talking about money. So,
Yeah, let's talk about money. This is good.
when you were first sued, the verdict said that you had to pay how much money? How much were you in debt to this person because of the verdict?
Yeah, yeah, like, and also about the this donation. I again, I'm more what I need now more, and what I appreciate more is to have a platform to share the story.
Mm-hmm.
This is the far more valuable to me. Like, looking at what you've done to build your YouTube and to build your following and your content. This is where I believe, and I'm obligated to say this for sure, is the donations go directly to you to continue doing this. This is extremely difficult to edit, to produce these kinds of videos.
Yeah.
I think I tried it before and I was like, no, I'm not a content creator. I'm not good at this. And when you came and you did the podcast here in the gym with
Mm.
all that equipment, that's so I'm more appreciative of a platform. So if anyone has any other resource where I can just share my story, when you listen to the story at the end, it is a good story. It's a story that, again, I don't want to go to waste.
Yeah.
Because now talking about money, I wouldn't say money is the thing that hurts me the most. What
Mm-hmm.
hurts me most is I really believed I had a just cause. I was right. I did my due diligence. I did my time. And I really felt like I was right. And when it doesn't work, and when you know you're right, that's what hurts the most. That's what really, really is hard to sleep, is when you feel like it's such an injustice. You know, it, it If you're like, maybe I can get away with this, or I'm not really high, then when you lose, it's not so bad.
Mm.
But when you really are right and it doesn't work out, that's what actually hurts me a lot more than the money. Because okay, so talking about the money, so there was an amount that I was sued for, which correlated to two documents that
Mm-hmm.
he submitted. Again, he didn't submit the full story. He just submitted two documents. And the money that was on those documents correlated to the amount that I was sued for.
Okay.
Okay. So again, the time frames are what's important for people to remember when you're doing case actions. Everything, you got to be quick, because there is a lot of delay in the decision making. But for you as the person in the case, you need to take advantage of these time periods and put your papers in before these dates and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so basically, because of the time period that passed, not only do I now realize I couldn't retry the case, but I was fined. I was fined every month money, which built up the amount higher and higher and higher, because every month that you don't address this, you're billed.
Mm.
You have to pay a fine. I can't remember the exact amount, but I'll give you all the numbers after. But yeah, so it was almost an additional. It's like almost an additional 200K that I was fined.
Oof.
Like a lot, a lot of extra was fined, just because it's not aware. Now, we definitely need to talk about the process of how they make a foreigner aware, because maybe the Chinese have a bit more leverage there, because I know that your case, if you're given a notice and it's on an online newspaper, I know this,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to the legal section, and then maybe you go to like two or three other sections after that, and there'll be a list of people, and they use that media to communicate to out there, hey, you need to fix this, blah blah blah. They're using that, right? But I don't read Chinese newspapers, and I don't read online or offline, so I didn't know about that. So I believe the Chinese can become aware of it. They, maybe their name, or they'll get a note. I'm not sure. I don't know, but that's something that expats should know about too. Is like you are given a notice. It's just the platform is Chinese, so you don't know. But yeah, so the amount accumulated quite high, and then so what happened is there's the middle court where I'm trying to retry the case, and then there's the other court where I'm being sued. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this court where I'm being sued, there's a process that continues and continues, and it doesn't stop. This process, they have a process. Like say they tried to call me to inform me about the case. If I don't answer, maybe they look in the book and they say, okay, we will call him again in a week's time, same time, right?
Yeah.
And then they call again a week later. Oh, he didn't answer. Okay, next process is move this file to that department, right? There's like a process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the process continued on in Shanghai to enforcement, where they came after me to pay the money that I owed in the verdict. And that money I've been paying for the last 9 months.
9 months.
And yeah, so like I mean, how much have I paid so far? It's about 230,000 renminbi is what I've already paid. Already that I've paid since hearing the verdict on Monday, right? So as of now, I have 6 more months to pay. 6 more months to
Mm-hmm.
pay, and then this whole thing is finished, okay? But so I realized, I said, okay, I have to follow the law here, but I'm fighting to get the case reopened here, so I'm just going to make these payments, but I'm going to get that money back because the case is reopened. I have the evidence. I then win. I stop paying, and then I get that money back. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, it's okay. Just hang in there,
Mm-hmm.
and the process will prove that that you're not guilty. and you're right and you'll win, right? Just hang in there. But now that that's not true, I'm like, well, okay, fuck, I've already paid that much money, so then now I just got to pay another 6 months. So fine, like that's it. What else can you do? You just have to bite the
Okay.
bullet and eat it, right?
What have you been doing? How have you been handling this financial burden, this additional financial burden? When we filmed the podcast, you told us off camera what you've been doing, but
uh,
do you mind sharing that information with us? I mean, you said that you didn't want to impinge on your actual living standards, so you took it as
yeah. So I didn't let this crisis go to waste. Thanks for the
a
actual
reminder.
phrase. That was um, so. So yeah, I mean, I really believe that you need to have a bit of fire under you in order to succeed. Like you got to have this sense of urgency in order for you to achieve anything. Like sometimes people, they, like some friends of mine, and I'm sure you have friends as well. Like, you suddenly you have a child, right? A baby's coming, and then suddenly you end up being a lot more successful because you have to think about this baby and its future. Or maybe you open a company and you hire your first team of staff, and you're like, oh my, I have these people that I need to make sure they get their money to go feed their families, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of get this fire under you, like, oh, I need to go. Or maybe like you've been working, and suddenly this investor that you've always looked up to, he says, hey, I'm going to invest in you, here's $1 million, go do your dream, I believe. And that's you're like, oh shit, this
Time to
shit's
get
real,
going.
I got to do this, right? Yeah. Or maybe you have an accident and you break your leg, and you have to like figure out how to recover and how to manage this, right? And act this injury. So it's really valuable. You when this happens, and if you use the crisis to your favor, you can things happen, opportunities come up, and so there. I mean, I could sit here and be crying and saying, guys, please help, help me, like I messed up. But no, I mean, I know everybody has their problems. Everyone has problems. It's part of life. Some problems are big, some problems are small. Sometimes there's a lot of small problems, and sometimes someone only has one big problem, right?
Hmm.
But it kind of evens out for everybody. You have to go through it, So I don't. That's the thing. When I raised the money on Go Get Funding, I just said, guys, help me with the money to fight this. You don't need to bail me out. Just help me fight this case. I don't need you guys to get me out of jail. Just help me, give me a fighting chance, right?
Yeah.
That was my whole message. And that's something maybe I get from my dad and my mom. That's something how I was raised.
Cool. I want to.
So like all that to say that, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I think I'm talking
No,
too much.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to remind people that your contact information is displayed here on the screen. So that's your Instagram, your YouTube, and your Facebook. So if anybody wants to lend a platform to John, you can contact him through this information right here at the top right of the screen. That's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Because I think that, as you said it very clearly, this is the most important thing for you at the moment. Also, I would like to repeat or clarify that the whole super chat contribution and WeChat contribution was my idea, not John's. I just think
Yes.
that I support your cause. I mean, as I said in some of my videos in the past, I'm a very righteous person and I'm a very just person, and to hear that you're in this dilemma, in this situation, because you weren't notified properly and you weren't notified on time. It's just a matter of time. You have the goods, you have the receipts, you have the invoices to show that, well, that
Yeah.
you're right, and to find yourself in this situation because of the inability to be notified about the situation is just it's just not. It doesn't look. It doesn't
Not,
sound fair. It doesn't sound like you said.
it's
You
not fair. Yeah,
correct.
it's not fucking fair.
If they had
Yeah.
given you an opportunity to show your stuff, then um, it would have been a very different situation. John, I wanted
Mm.
to ask you one more question about. Okay, there's a lot of people sending some comments. Somebody's asking, "You're not allowed to travel until your fines are paid." Yes, he's in a blacklist, so he can't leave the country. But you can travel in China,
I,
right?
I, I can travel within China totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Hotels, planes, everything. This is all fine. It's just the borders of China you cannot cross.
Okay. And then another person, the same person is saying that a lot of people are laid off in the US, including myself, but I appreciate hearing about your experience. So, yeah. Mm, some people would like to contribute when they can, and we understand that not everybody is having a good financial situation. As I showed you yesterday, a lot of people are also supporting me in my situation, and this fire under your feet. I mean, I've jumped into this video content production because what else am I gonna do? I'm not working. I'm not teaching. So in this particular situation, this is my fire under my feet. So I completely agree with that
Yes.
perspective, John. Um, so
Yeah,
John,
that's right. That's what you got to do, right? That's
yeah,
what you got to do. Yeah.
you gotta survive.
Mm.
I have one more question that I wanted to ask you. Um, if you could do things, if you could do things differently, what is your suggestion for people, for foreigners in
Yeah.
China? What is a give?
Uh, I think during the time when this all happened, I was obviously younger.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a few years ago. I was younger, and I think I was a little bit cocky. You know, I'll be fine, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I just thought nothing can hurt me, and this is I think I'm a fitness I'm a gym rat, right? I'm a big fitness guy, right? You
Yeah.
know, I do competitions, I train, I box. So maybe you get I had like some idea like I'm invincible. What's the worst that could happen? I know best. I know best. So I think it doesn't sound like rocket science, I know, but you should be much more respectful and moderate when it comes to things like I had no idea on I now I do, but back then I had no idea about nothing about legal system. And I didn't even know that much about how to run a business, how to business documents. I always had people to help me with this. I didn't have that good of an understanding back then of how to do that. So these were too proud to do the research, right?
Mm.
Get stuck into the research and um, try to know these fields. At least have a good understanding or consult with the right people more closely. Rather, like I would just assume I was like, it's okay, it's fine, no, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's okay. This was kind of my overall attitude, which I wish I had changed.
No, I mean
Yeah,
my takeaway from your situation, from this situation, is that whenever you're going to get into a contract, into business with somebody, as Mitsuchi Miss was pointing out, it might be a good idea to have legal representation, to have somebody, um,
yes, yes.
because look,
Big
somebody
mistake.
somebody can come from a
Yeah,
field, yeah, from left, and sue you, and because we're foreigners and we don't follow the newspapers, we don't get those WeChat notifications, we don't get this kind of notification, we change residence very often. Because of this
that's
particular
right.
circumstances, we could end up in a situation like yours. So that's what I take away from this. And well, I own businesses, not that they're doing too well anyway, but um, that's what's stuck in my head. next time I'm gonna sign something, I'd rather have a lawyer on my payroll, even though it costs a little bit of money, but then notifications go through them, and then it's a way to avoid this the situation that you're in. Um, well, we did say in the thumbnail and in all the promotion that we did that you were going to take the gloves off. Have you taken the gloves off, or is there another glove that you want to remove? Is there anything else that you want to say?
Yeah, like I had an idea. I had an idea, and I don't know. Maybe I'll run this by you. What you think? I was thinking to do like a mini documentary
Mm-hmm.
because I have a lot of documents, photos, video, all of this that would make a very nice, Netflix special documentary, about this whole process. Yeah, because there's certain things like I was telling earlier about certain things I don't bother to mention. Every time I share this story, I don't get blamey. I just say things how they are. I always try to end it on a positive note, saying like this is something that has actually created a lot more opportunities for me. I've been able to survive these payments and continue with a potentially a very strong future in
Mm-hmm.
my field in China. Um, but then I've always kind of kept that message, and I haven't really said, like, oh, did you know this? Did you know this? Like, I haven't said the more, the fun facts that are a little bit more itty gritty. So I wanted to put all these together in a mini documentary.
All right.
Like I don't know. What do you think? Netflix, I think, needs content now because of the, the the coronavirus,
I'll tell you. I'll tell you a
and
couple
I'm
of things.
motivated. Yeah.
I'll tell you a couple of things about Netflix. Netflix, you were impressed with my setup, with my cameras and all those things. None of this is good enough for Netflix. So I would need to invest in a few more cameras so that it is acceptable for Netflix. But yeah, we should talk about that. They require a certain standard of cameras,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
none of my cameras are good enough for Netflix.
Yes. The equipment alone
John,
screws you. Yeah,
let me
but
let me
this yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I wanted to also give you an opportunity to, well, I don't know, do some sort of plug into your businesses and the things that you're doing, so that you let people know what you do and what is coming next for you in your life, and how they can, well, keep an eye on that.
Yeah, yeah. So my podcast is called the JG Show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as it's something again I started because of this whole situation,
Mm-hmm.
but I find it in some ways a bit of a detox for me. It's a bit of a detox living in China, and sometimes you have these crazy stories. Like I've got way more crazy stories, right? But and then other people have crazy stories. So the podcast is just about these expats in China and their crazy stories. It's a little bit more relaxed, but it keeps me sane,
Mm.
and it's kind of, so I would definitely encourage everyone to go check out the JG Show on podcasts. You can see me with a suit and tie and this dragon on the side, and it's like my brother edited that photo for me. It was a big help, but it kind of it's not, it sets a bit of a professional perspective, but the podcast is a little bit rough.
Mm.
It is a bit rough. It's more, it's more for shits and giggles. But yeah, the JG Show, and then my LinkedIn, John Graham Harper. Harper is my family name, but just over the years, everyone knows me as John Graham because there's so many Johns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many Johns. Everyone's got at least 7 Johns on their phone. So I'm the John Graham. That's I sort of take that tag. But yeah, the JG Show, and go to John Graham Harper, my LinkedIn,
All
and
right.
yeah, we can talk more. Any deeper, darker questions, I'm happy to answer. Yeah.
Okay, I'm unfortunately, I don't think I can help you with the Netflix documentary, but I'll be interested to watch. Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
John, look, we're coming to the end of an hour, so I really want to thank you for taking the time to join my show, my
Thank
live
you.
stream, and
Thank
well,
you.
I like the idea that we can summarize this situation, and people can take benefit from it. People can profit from your
Yes.
unfortunate situation. So once more, um, whenever you get into contracts, just make sure that there's a lawyer on your side, because that is the biggest risk that we all have, that we won't be notified of any situation against us. John,
Yes.
once more, thanks so very much for taking your time. I wish you all the best, and we are now in contact. I hadn't met you before we did the of course China podcast, so I'm very happy to be in contact
Mm.
with you. And yeah, we can do some other stuff together some other time in the future. So, John,
Yes.
anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, my brother is Alan Harper. I'm John Graham Harper.
That was my bad, and I apologize to you and to Sir Pensa for that. All right, John.
Oh, funny, yes.
Thanks so very much, and let me
Take it
sign
easy.
up. Okay, cool.
Mm.
All right, guys. That's
All
it
right,
for
cheers,
today.
guys.
Cheers, man. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching this live stream. And you know how it goes. If you like the content on my channel, make sure to subscribe to it. And if you do that, don't forget to hit the bell button to be notified whenever there is a new video out. And thanks very much for joining us in this very interesting conversation with John. And until I see you again, take it easy and bye for now.
Cheers.
Pew, finish.
Nice.